Don't forget, it's the Rancast on the PPW YouTube channel, Premier Pro Wrestling YouTube channel. I'm with Casey James, two of the most well-traveled individuals, I guess, that are doing podcasts today under the age of 70. Was that safe to say?
I don't know.
All right, like, subscribe, and please support us on Patreon, where we do this podcast every week, and I guarantee you we're more compelling than a lot of the podcasts out there making a shitload on Patreon. And we won't blow smoke up your ass. I'm just incapable of it at my age and stage in the game. Casey, what was the question before I have to go and read it verbatim?
If there was one thing you could change, go back in time and change about your career, about...
Now, did not say go back in time. But if you want to go back in time to answer the question, please do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, me personally, I would have worked harder. Now I did work hard, but a lot of things, there were a lot of things that kind of came naturally to me, and
what came natural?
I think just working in the ring,
storytelling,
the business storytelling, just being able to go in there. I didn't do a lot of. I would have worked harder outside the ring to perfect my craft. Me personally.
The ring. What do you mean outside the ring?
Or in the ring or outside the ring.
What does outside the ring mean?
Oh, I probably would have studied more. Would have asked more questions.
Really?
Yeah. And I did do that, but looking back, I could have done more of that.
Nothing else?
Well, I wasted a lot of time partying and drinking and carousing around, which got me over with a lot of people, but in the locker room, but it was detrimental in the long run to my career.
Well, you got away with a lot, especially.
I got away with a lot.
Especially considering what was going on with the industry and the climate was changing. You were there when the publicly traded really started to get established, and you had Johnny Ace coming in, who, at first, I thought to myself, what the F does he know? How did he get a college degree when we were out knocking our brains out every night in the territories? Well, he did. He got his college degree, and then he did something that nobody was ever able to do, and that was to actually run and help Baba's wife run New Japan Pro Wrestling with an education, So it became a business. It was always a business, but it was more of a business, and it was really starting to establish itself as publicly traded when you were there. The thing I would say was this, and the things you mentioned, and this, I wish the question was, what would I change about your career?
What about you? What would you change?
I'll get the motherfucker. Let me finish with yours. So just set the stage briefly for when Johnny Ace finally got his hands on your pseudo mullet. They don't call him the best color man in the business for nothing, folks. Please briefly set the stage for when John Laurinaitis finally got his hands on your pseudo mullet.
What do you mean? I needed.
So anyway,
he wanted me to change my look, so I cut my hair.
Yeah. So you cut your hair, which was beautiful, outdated, somewhere between Ric Flair in his heyday and Tommy Wildfire Rich in his heyday when he was the top guy for Georgia Championship Wrestling. He cut your platinum pseudo mullet, and you looked good, and you were ripped. And what happened was at an ECW taping when Vince came up and said, and I didn't even know about this till a fan sent us the question.
Well, yeah, I cut my hair, I changed my look, I started wearing trunks, and he didn't even know it was me. He's like, look at that guy, sign that guy. And I was already signed by I was already working for the company.
You already signed by the company, but what happened right after? Exactly right after. You got let go.
It wasn't right after.
It was within
I worked
6 months.
No, it was another year.
No, you didn't have that short ass.
You're telling me? I was there. It was another year.
Okay, let's go ahead and take that out, Know-It-All Johnson.
It's Mike. It's me. What are you talking
If
about?
you have the attention of Vince McMahon like that, that was the golden opportunity to climb up that motherfucker's ass and say, yes, Vince, it's me, it's OKC. Let's do some fucking business now. I look the way you want me to look. What do you want me to do, my mans? That's what I was going to say. Now, for me, I think what I would have done was I would have gave myself a lot more credit than I did. I was a better worker than I thought because I was so caught up in being fucking great and being one of the fucking greats that I didn't realize how good I actually was. In the territories, i.e. Memphis and even Dallas at the end, world-class championship wrestling, I was a good fucking hand. If I would have been paying attention to what was going on at WCW and WWF at the time, and I didn't, My self-esteem caused me not to push for myself to get a job there than others did, i.e. like Percival Pringle, Chief Jay Strongbow, and Tony Gurria. I once did something where I worked a dark match with Johnny Smith, who you can YouTube him, and you guys will love him, especially the internet wrestling community, because he was a stiff motherfucker, and then that's the style in Japan at the time, and he was over there with Dynamite, Davey Boy, Owen. Anyway, we went out and worked the dark match, and then I had 2 matches before I had to go out and work an enhancement match with Razor Ramon. And during that time, Tony Gurria came up to me and said this, said that, said the other thing. And, it was really cool to me, And first time he actually came out and said, I fucking like you. You're a great fucking hand. You're the best extra that we have anywhere in the country. Put on some fucking muscle and you'll end up working here and write your own ticket. Can you do me a favor? Now we're shooting something in there with Andre. Don't let anybody into that locker room. Well, here comes Vince by himself. And I'm like, oh, shit. What do? You're going to tell Vince, get the fuck out of your own locker room? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Pardon me, sir. Pardon me, Vince. And I was good once in a while with some good smart-assedness. You know what I mean? But I couldn't. I just couldn't. I just worked those 2 matches, and I thought Vince was coming to go into that locker room to look for somebody, and he was. He was coming up to tell me, I want you to know that I realize what you do and how hard you work for my company. And he shook my hand. I didn't say shit. I choked. I went bapa ooh mau mau like a fucking mark. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that, and then in '93, when I was a $190 to 202, that's how my weight fluctuated. I was always that guy for Vince that was great, that could do this, that could do that, that could do the other thing, that the old agents liked, that the young guys liked, that people asked to work with, because they knew I'd get him over. '93, I got a call one day at my office. I just started a small business and had my first child born. And it was just something that happened by accident. It was something that I started between road trips after I left World Class, waiting to go back to Memphis full time. The fucking thing blew up and started making money. As it turns out, I have a knack for business. I didn't know that, I get a call one day in my office, and this is Sergeant Slaughter from World Wrestling Federation. Like to talk to Jerry Fox. I was like, cut it out. Bullshit. You know what I mean? And it turns out it was fucking Sergeant Slaughter, and he was instructed to give me a call to get me to put together a 6-minute video because they wanted to hire me. And this is before they hired Six Pack. And I was like, wow. You know what I mean? I was still 202 pounds, and whatever. During that process, a lot of stuff happened, and I didn't know that Jerry Jarrett was pushing for me to get hired and work there as a performer, as hard as he was until it happened. And as it turned out that year, they ended up looking at 30 tapes out of 300 that they were considering. So I made it up for the second viewing. And everybody in the company, when they went to give me the thumbs up, the head guy for talent then was J.J. Dillon. Everybody gave me the thumbs up except Pat Patterson, And then my business had taken off so much, what I should have, would have, could have done was hired a manager to run my business and went out there and went ahead and made myself a fucking little run for Vince. That's what I should have done. Because then I would have had some name recognition if I would have looked into a crystal ball and saw where my future was going to go from there. Because I've done so much, but you guys don't really know who the fuck I am, with what I have. And a little push, a little run would have really, helped me out today. But that's what I would have done different. So I would have pushed harder then and not so much try to control my own affairs. I could have hired a manager and kept an eye on both. I know I could have. I would have done that different. And then the last thing I would have done different was probably 96, 97. I don't remember who I worked. The Edge. I worked Edge. Before Edge was a contract employee. He was making a couple hundred dollars a night. I went out there, put a match together with him, and, got him over. And then when I came back, Foley, who was champion or shortly was going to be champion or was champion right before this, and he had something to do with creative, he came up to me with Percival Pringle, and they were all over me for, carrying him, and not so much what we did in the match, but again, how we did it. And they were trying to take a look at Edge, but the problem was he was so fucking green that they put him with local guys, and all the local guys would do, because he was so fucking green, was go out there and try to steal on him to get their shit in, so they never got a look at the guy. Well, you paid me $250 to come up there. I'm going to do the job you hired me to do, which was get that motherfucker over, and I put the match together, So they were really getting off on the fact that that's the best he's looked because of what I just said. And Foley hits me up. I swear to God, he might have been champion. And when was he champion? 97?
A little bit later, but he was one of the top guys at the time.
So I thought he was making a fucking joke, and he said, "What do you think about you working as one of the oddities?" And I said, "Fuck you, ha ha ha," So I went back to my business, and I shit you not, 3 weeks later, I said, "Motherfucker, he wasn't kidding." So I called him like, "Oh shit, man, were you ribbing?" He goes, "No, I was being serious. Vince really liked the gimmick for some reason. Got nobody to carry it. It was Luna, Tenta, and I forget who else, some giant asshole. And then they had that kid. They tried to carry it from a commentating standpoint or managing standpoint from Canada. He's like, you would be perfect out there taking the bumps, doing the moves with these motherfuckers. But don't worry about it. They've already shit-canned the gimmick." So that's what I would have changed. So don't get pissy with me. I'm not calling you out as an asshole or egomaniac. I'm calling you out as somebody that is emotionally invested in you and has believed in you since you were a 19-year-old kid. Again, guys, go ahead and subscribe. Support us on Patreon. A lot of people making a lot of money on Patreon that just haven't been where we've been in the wrestling industry, and they certainly don't have any content, which we have a shitload to draw from.